before we resume our usual Dhamma talk, so just an announcement to make, and that is from now, we will no longer be taking questions on this Zoom Dhamma talk. Okay? Yeah. So the Q&A actually is supposed to be a platform for the participants in order to clarify things that are not clear from the Dhamma talks after listening to the Dhamma talk. Okay, so now those of you who have been following us, the Dhamma talks for some time, you know that we usually welcome questions. So in fact, we even encourage you to ask questions. So we welcome questions from those who sincerely, genuinely wants to learn the Dhamma. Okay, so in fact, in our Abhidhamma class, so those of you who attend, you know, we have especially 1 week set aside just for answering questions. Okay? So, yeah. So we welcome question if you really, sincerely, genuinely wish to learn. So we do not mind if your question is, you ask a question from motivated by some sincere and genuine wish to learn the Dhamma. Okay, so even if you ask me beginner's question, so I don't mind. So you know, if you have been teaching as long as I have, so you know, we have been answering beginners' question again and again. Every time, every retreat, it's the same question again and again. It's like almost we are parroting out the answers already, you know. So, but we do not mind. So, even if we have to answer such beginner's question, so even if you ask me one question after another, that is fine with me. So I can sit here all night and answer your question. Okay? So, like one of the questioner, so she really genuinely wish, you know, because she has been practicing. She is a yogi, basically. She has been practicing in the Goenka tradition before. So now she come here, learn a new way of practicing. So there's a lot of question, obviously. And she's very genuine and sincere, wants to find out. So, but a lot of beginners' question, but I don't mind answering such question. As I said, I can sit down here all night answering your question. But of course, now that I'm in Santi Sukarama, no longer in Peace House, I also have to consider because there are yogis here. And the lights out is at 10 and they have to wake up very early in the morning at 4 a.m. They wake up to begin their practice. Okay? So, yeah. Now, but to ask proper questions, that's another thing. To ask proper question, you need to listen properly to the Dhamma talk. Listen respectfully to the Dhamma. Okay. Yeah. But recently, you know, some questioner instead of paying proper attention, respectful attention to the Dhamma talk like everybody else. Instead of doing that, has been spending all the time during the Dhamma talk, shooting one question after another in the chat room. Okay? Yeah. So we can tell when you submit the question. There's a timestamp. So 8:45 one, 9 o'clock one, another one after that. So throughout, and the questions, many of the questions asked so long. And the nature of the question needs a lot of thinking, a lot of typing. So definitely, when you are doing all this, you are not listening properly, respectfully to the Dhamma. And that's why it is no wonder that so many of the questions asked are concerning things that are already dealt with in the Dhamma talk. Right? So, and then I have to read through the very long question, and then I have to explain the question, summarize it to the people because it's so long. This is wasting everybody's time. And then on top of that, the very confrontational tone in which the question is being asked is also not appreciated. Okay, so if you are not paying proper attention, listening to the Dhamma, then you are not showing proper respect for the Dhamma. So, and this reflects that you're not sincere in learning, sincere in coming here to learn the Dhamma. Okay, so now I could have chosen to ban this person from this Zoom meeting because according to the spirit of the Vinaya rules, a monk is not supposed to teach Dhamma to a person who does not show respect for the Dhamma. So according to the spirit of the Vinaya in the Sekhiya Dhamma. Okay? So I could have chosen to ban this person from participating in this Dhamma talk. In fact, actually, some of the other participants have actually suggested to me that I do exactly that. So, but at that time, when they suggested, I said, not so fast. So perhaps this person still do not know, so he wish to learn. So, okay, hold on first. Let's see how things develop. But then we talks after talk after talk, still the same thing. Okay, so now I want to make this clear now. So this Zoom Dhamma talks, this Dhamma talk on Zoom is meant for only those who sincerely, genuinely wish to come to learn and practice the Satipatthana Vipassana Dhamma, especially in the tradition, in the way that it is taught by the late Venerable Mahasisyada. Okay, so yeah, so actually this Zoom platform started actually before the MCO began. So for many years already, actually, back in Peace House. So every Wednesday night we have you can say a group meditation sitting every Wednesday night. So the devotees, the yogis will congregate together at Peace House, and then they will meditate for an hour from 8 to 9 o'clock in the evening. So whether there are teachers there or not, they will congregate and meditate together. Okay. But when we are back in Peace House, when I and Venerable Gavesi is back in Peace House, then we will also give a Dhamma talk after they have meditated. So at 9 o'clock. So we will also deliver a Dhamma talk to those who are present. So just to share with them this Satipatthana Vipassana Dhamma. So to help them to understand more clearly this practice Satipatthana Vipassana Dhamma. Okay, so it started off with this. Okay, and then the MCO happened. And I was there, I was caught in Peace House at that time. So, but when MCO started, for 1 month, there was nothing because they all cannot come to Peace House. So we didn't have anything. Good times, very free. But then after 1 month, I saw that the devotees, they are, very eager to have Dhamma talk again. They are in fact been discussing among themselves, discussing Dhamma among themselves. I think that time they were using the Skype or something like that. So I thought after 1 month, okay, I rest enough already. So I thought, so maybe we should, have some kind of Dhamma talk. So just so that the devotees can still keep in touch with the Dhamma. So I told them, okay, let's revive the Wednesday night again. So I told them, okay, you meditate yourself at home for 1 hour because we cannot congregate at Peace House to meditate. Right? You meditate yourself for 1 hour at home. Then after that, you sign in to Zoom, and then we have the Dhamma talk. So it began just for the devotees of Peace House. Okay, but then subsequently, because actually I'm not teaching only in Peace House, so I do go and teach also in the Bodhiarama, in Kuala Kubu Baru, also here in Santi Sukarama, and a few other places. And also some of the yogis from Bodhiarama also started requesting for Dhamma talk. So before that, actually, they already requested. So once we started that, so I thought maybe we can open up to them also. So because they also need to keep in touch with the Dhamma. So I open up to the yogis. And then because now I'm also associated with Metta Lodge in JB, and there are also quite a number of people in Metta Lodge who sincerely wish to learn the Satipatthana Vipassana Dhamma. In fact, actually, they invited me this year to go down and conduct a retreat there. But due to the MCO, so tak jadilah. So, yeah. So we began to open out, and then inevitably, because WhatsApp forward, so everybody forward to their friends, and then so it went beyond the yogi community. So now I do not mind people from outside coming in, as long as you come in with a genuine, sincere wish to learn the Dhamma. I welcome you. Okay? So, but if you are not sincere, if you do not genuinely wish to learn the Dhamma, then you're not welcome here. So If you are not sincere and genuinely want to learn the Dhamma, I do not know what you are doing here. Okay, so so for now, we will no longer be taking questions. Okay, so now we resume with our Dhamma talk. Okay, so in the last Dhamma talk, okay, so we were discussing about the controversy that's surrounding this Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration. Okay, so because in a few suttas in the Sutta Pitaka, so the Buddha defined, according to that context, the Buddha defined this Samma Samadhi, right concentration, which is one of the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. Buddha defined it as the 4 jhanas. Okay, so, and since the Noble Eightfold Path is the path leading to the cessation of dukkha, of suffering, so this implies that in order to be free from suffering, in order to experience the cessation of suffering, the yogi needs to develop jhana. Right? So, yeah. But then on the other hand, in the commentaries, the ancient teachers they explain that a yogi he can actually bypass this development of the samatha jhanas and proceed through the vipassana yana, vipassana approach, and develop Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, by contemplating nature of mental physical phenomena. So according to them, according to the explanation, by this way also, simply by developing momentary concentration, the yogi can also develop this insight leading to liberation from dukkha. Okay? So it seems there's a contradiction here between what is said in the suttas by the Buddha and then what is explained in the commentaries by the ancient commentarial teachers. So some will ask, where in the sutta is this Khanika Samadhi mentioned by the Buddha as sufficient enough for the development of insight leading to liberation? Right? So, is it even in the suttas at all? So in the last talk, we make a reference to the Samadhi Bhavana Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya. Yeah, so there in the sutta, the Buddha mentioned one kind of development of concentration, the development of concentration leading to the destruction of the asavas, to the mental taints. Yeah, so the 4 kinds of asavas, kamasava, the taints of sensual desire, bhavasava, the taints of attachment to existence, ditthasava, the taints of wrong views, and avijjasava, the taints of ignorance. Okay? So as we explained, so these 4 asavas, they are destroyed by the various stages of Magga. Okay? So ditthasava, the taints of wrong view, they are destroyed by the first Magga, first path, Sotapatti Magga. Okay? Then kamasava, the taint of sensual desire, they are totally destroyed by the third path, Anagami Magga. Okay, and then the remainder, the two bhavasawa, avijjasawa, attachment to existence and ignorance, they are completely destroyed only by arahata magga. Okay, so the destruction of things happens by means of these various stages of the magga. Okay, so therefore, when the Buddha talk about the development of samadhi leading to the destruction of these asavas, essentially what he means is a development of samadhi that leads to the experience of these various stages of the magga path, including arahata magga, which is the complete liberation from suffering. Okay. So according to the Buddha, this development of concentration leading to the destruction of the asavas means that the type of concentration that is developed when the yogi dwells contemplating the rise and fall in the five aggregates subject to clinging. Okay? And as we have explained, this means the kanika samadhi, momentary concentration. So therefore, this momentary concentration leads to the attainment of the various stages of magga. So including arahata magga, this is a complete liberation from suffering. So therefore, because of this, it must be samma samadhi, right concentration. So, as right concentration is supposed to be concentration as a factor of the Noble Eightfold Path that leads to the cessation of suffering. Okay. So tonight we will talk about another sutta. That is the Mahasalayatanika Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. Okay. So, in this sutta, the Buddha talks about the development of vipassana, development of insight, based on the contemplation of the salayatana, the sixth sense base. Okay, so the experience of the sixth sense base. Okay, so this means it's a kind of Dhamma nupassana. Okay, so contemplation of the sixth sense base comes under Dhamma nupassana. Okay, the sutta itself is long, even though it's in the Majjhima Nikaya, supposed to be medium length. So we'll not go through the entire sutta. So we will only look at those parts that are relevant to our discussion. Okay. Okay. So in the sutta, the Buddha says, bhikkhus, when one knows and sees the I as it actually is. So this is talking about experience, the sixth sense base, seeing, hearing, smelling, and so on. Okay? So same as in the Samadhi Sutta that we cited earlier. So there also the Buddha talk about the contemplation and experience at the sixth sense base. So beginning with the experience at the eye door, experience of seeing. So here the Buddha says, when one knows and sees the I as it actually is. So as we explained the other time, the I here does not mean the entire eye, not this whole eyeball. Okay, but only the part of the eye that is directly involved in the experience of seeing. Okay? So refers to the eye sensitivity. So the materiality in the eye, in the retina, which is sensitive to visible form, to light or color. They can pick up color. Okay? So that is one kind of material phenomena or material nature. So when one knows and sees the eye as it really is, jhanam, pasam, yatha bhutam. So seeing things as they really are, discerning clearly things as they really are. We explained the other time in the suttas, whenever the Buddha talk about seeing things, discerning things, knowing things as they really are, especially when he is referring to the 5 aggregates or the 6 sense base, 18 elements, and so on, referring to the realities, mental, physical realities. So seeing them as they really are. This refers to, he is describing vipassana meditation, the development of insight. And so here also, the Buddha is talking about vipassana meditation. Okay? When one knows and sees the eye as it actually is. Okay? So, I mean, seeing the real nature of this material phenomena, of this material nature, the sabhava lakkhana, sankhata lakkhana, samanya lakkhana. So he sees as unique characteristic, sabhava lakkhana, of this eye sensitivity, which is sensitivity to light, sensitivity to color. This is the only materiality which has this nature. It is sensitive to light, sensitive to color. It can pick up, it can respond to color, to light. And no other materiality has this nature. So that is its unique characteristic. As we said the other day, you can shine a torchlight into your ear, up your nose, into your mouth. They will not pick up. Not, because they are not sensitive to visible form. So only in the eye there's this eye sensitivity. They're sensitive to colors, to visible form. That is his nature. That is the unique nature. So the yogi sees this as it is, this nature, sensitivity. Okay, and then when nature sensitivity is clear, the yogi is nothing is sharp enough. We can even see how this nature of sensitivity arises and disappears due to conditions. So this is called sankhata lakkhana, the conditioned nature arising and disappearing. And then by contemplating this nature rising and disappearing continuously, then finally the yogi will come to also discern clearly the nature of impermanent, suffering, and non-self. Discern clearly that this nature of sensitivity disappear upon arising. The moment it arises, it disappears. It disappears again and again upon arising. Okay? Yes. So you realize the nature of impermanence. Okay? And see how this is continuously oppressed by arising and disappearing. So this is the nature of dukkha. And he sees, discern clearly that he cannot control this continuous arising and disappearing. So this is the nature of anatta. Okay? Yeah. So here, when the Buddha talk about knowing and seeing the eye or the eye sensitivity as it actually is, this is more on the samanya lakkhana, nature, impermanent, suffering, and non-self. So, but of course, before you can discern nature, impermanence, suffering, and non-self, samanya lakkhana, you must first of all discern sabhava lakkhana. Then after that, sankhata lakkhana. Then only you can discern samanya lakkhana, anicca, dukkha, anatta. Okay? So this is just like in order to know how the person looks like. First, you must see the person. Right? If you don't see the person, how do you know how he looks like? Right? So you want to see how Venerable Vivekananda looks like. I must look here. I must turn my attention and look at him. Then only I can see in detail how he looks. If my attention is there, I'm not looking at him, I cannot see. Right? So first, I must see him generally first. Right? Then only I dwell in, then I can see he has 2 eyes, not 3 eyes. So this nature is like that. You must see Sabhava first. And Sabhava is the foundation. Okay? And then Sankhata, arising and disappearing. Because what is it that arises and disappears? It's the Sabhava, the nature of sensitivity that arises and disappears. Right? So if you do not see the nature of sensitivity first, how can you see it arising and disappearing? Right? So, and then if you do not see nature arising and disappearing, how can you see the nature of impermanence, suffering, and non-self? Right? So you must go gradually. Okay? But in the sutta, the Buddha is talking more about samanya lakkhana. But I assume that the yogi has already passed through all the others. So in the suttas, you see, depending on who the Buddha is talking to. Here, the Buddha is probably talking to yogis who are already very advanced in their practice. So no need to talk about all those lower inside nama rupa paricheda bachaya parigaha. That one, chicken feet. I go directly to talk about anicca, dukkha, anatta. So when one knows and sees the I as it actually is, when one knows and sees visible form as it really is, so it's nature impinging on the eye sensitivity. That is its unique nature. It is the only object capable of impinging on the eye sensitivity. So no other object can impinge on the eye sensitivity. You take a sound, you play your radio into your eyes. The eyes cannot hear the sound. So no other object can impinge on the eye sensitivity. So the visible form is unique nature. It impinges on the eye sensitivity. Then the yogi also discern clearly how this nature arises and disappears. Its nature impermanence, suffering, and non-self. Okay? So when one knows and sees visible form as it actually is, when one knows and sees eye consciousness as it actually is, so eye consciousness, nature knowing of the visible form. So that also arises, disappear in the moment, impermanent, suffering, and non-self. When one knows and sees eye contact as it actually is, okay? There's the nature of mental nature touching, the mind touching the object. So there's this nature. And then that also arises and disappears. It's impermanent, suffering, non-self. And when one knows and sees as it actually is, the feeling that arises with eye contact as a condition, whether pleasant or painful, neither painful nor pleasant. So here again, just as in the Samadhi Sutta, the Buddha mentioned this 5 Dhammas that is present each time we have experience of seeing. Okay? But as we explained, this is just the most prominent Dhamma that is usually discernible in the experience of seeing. The eye sensitivity, the visible form, the eye consciousness, eye contact, and the feeling born of eye contact. So when you're not seeing, usually what the mind notice, what is prominent is one of these 5 Dhammas. Okay, so when you're not seeing, so if it happens that the visible form is the most prominent, so your mind will fall on noting just the visible form. If it's the eye consciousness is prominent, then the noting falls on the eye consciousness. Okay, and nature of knowing. Okay, so you only note one at a time. Okay, so you don't one shot, one noting. You want to note all 5 of them. It's impossible. The mind can only take one object at a time. Okay, so whatever is most prominent, the noting mind will pick it up and note that. Okay, now just because the Buddha mentioned 5 Dhammas here does not mean that in the experience of seeing there's only 5 Dhammas. There are more. Okay, so in your when you're meditating, it so happens that you experience other kind of Dhamma. Experience as a mindfulness of the object. And that's also another mental nature. You experience the energy of the mind, of the noting mind. That's also another mental nature. So you experience the mind like recognizing, perceiving the object. Perception, that is also another mental nature. So you can note this also if they happen to be prominent in your experience at that time. So don't say, hey, the Buddha did not mention this in the sutta. You must not note. So if it's in your experience, you should note. But in the sutta, the Buddha only mentioned what is prominent, what is usually prominent. Okay? So in the Abhidhamma, then you will find a very detailed analysis at the moment of seeing how many citta, of course only one, how many cetasikas, how many rupas also, how many rupas present at the moment of seeing. Then you go into patana, what is the conditional relationship? So between all these various dhammas. So Abhidhamma, they go into more detail. Okay, so it's actually more clearer when you study through Abhidhamma. Okay, but for the purpose of practice, actually, suttas is actually enough. So now, where am I? Okay, so when one sees the eye, the visible form, eye consciousness, and so on, as they really are, then what happened? The Buddha says, then one is not attached to the eye. One is not attached to visible form. One is not attached to eye consciousness. One is not attached to eye contact, to feeling that arises with eye contact as a condition, whether pleasant or painful, or neither painful nor pleasant. Okay, so so here the Buddha is describing the effects of vipassana, effects of insight, knowledge, when it arises. Okay? This is insight knowledge that is well developed, not the early stages of insight. So not even the immature stage of Udayabaya Jnana. It's the mature stage of Udayabaya Jnana. So from then on, so when the insight becomes steady, so when this insight well developed and the yogi sees again and again and again repeatedly, anupassana, the nature of impermanent suffering, non-self, due to this, the power of this insight. So the mind begins to let go of attachment to the object. Whatever it notes, the mind notes in a way that is detached from the object. It notes the eye sensitivity, it lets go the eye sensitivity. It doesn't cling to it. If it notes the visible form, it doesn't cling to the visible form. It lets go. It lets go of attachment. So, because this insight, as its nature, it cuts into the root of attachment. It loosens this root of attachment in the mind. Okay? Because when you see impermanent suffering, non-self again and again, this is naturally what will happen. Naturally, right? If you were to touch something hot, at first you do not know it's hot, or you see, oh, so red, so beautiful, and you go and touch, and you feel burned, then immediately, and nobody have to tell you, you let go, right? So when the insight is so clear, it discerns clearly, nature dukkha, then automatically the mind will let go. The stronger the insight, the more it lets go. So it cuts into the root of attachment, loosen this root of attachment in the mind. So as the insight develops deeper and deeper, the mind, you find that the mind is able to let go easier and easier. So, and this is what is supposed to happen with the development of insight. If you say you practice vipassana meditation and then you find that becoming more and more attached, then something is wrong with the way you are practicing. Maybe something wrong with your understanding also. Because if your understanding is wrong, then you also practice wrongly. So you're supposed to be more and more detached, able to let go easier and easier. So as you let go more and more, the mind is supposed to be more and more free. So you find mind is able note and then let go, note and let go, note and let go. Continuously just note, let go, note, let go. It doesn't hang on to the object, doesn't cling on to it with attachment. So you just note, let go, continuously. So at that time, yogi can experience the mind is like drops of water rolling over the lotus leaf. It just falls off. So not like drops of water on a tissue paper, or immediately spread and can hold on to it. Not like that. So the mind just let go. Turn away from this object. So as it lets go more and more, the mind becomes more and more peaceful. Because when you let go, that means your mind is not affected by the object. You note simply to know its nature clearly, then you let go. Right? So you're not affected by the object. So the mind becomes more and more peaceful, depending on how developed is the insight. The more developed, the more peaceful it becomes. It comes to, for example, Sankarupika Jnana. The mind is very, very peaceful. It becomes totally equanimous towards nature dukkha, nature nama rupa. Okay? So totally detached. So Sankarupika, yogi actually have a glimpse of how is it the mind of the arahants. The arahants, they say they have this chalangupeka, the six factor equanimity. Equanimity towards seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and then all the thinking, knowing. So equanimity towards the sixth sense experience. In seeing is equanimous, in hearing is equanimous, smelling and so on. Arahants very equanimous. The mind is not affected. Same with the yogis as Sankarupeka. So even though it's discerning very clearly the nature of dukkha, this nama rupa process, that because of the maturity of the insight and the steadiness of the insight, it becomes totally equanimous towards it. So whether it's seeing or hearing and smelling, whatever experience arises to the yogi at that time is totally equanimous. The mind is steady, unshaken. So you get a glimpse into the nature of the mind of the arahants. So interested to know or not? Strive harder in your practice. So yeah. All this comes about because of due to the nature of the insight. That discerns clearly nature of the nama rupa, anicca dukkha anatta. That the mind let's go. Okay. So the more mature, the more able the mind let go. Opposite of this is the mind that cannot let go. So it's not just for those who don't practice vipassana meditation. Even for those who practice, but in the early stages of your development, and your not even samadhi yet. So at that time, you see, the mind just cling on, right? When you're not, if your mind is clear, you find actually the mind try to cling on to the object, right? So it doesn't let go. Thinking comes, wow, so nice. So you hold on to the object. You think more and more. So it means the mind is delighting. There's attachment. So even though you say not, I'm noting, but still go on. Why? Because the mind cannot let go. So that means it's not wholehearted noting, half-hearted noting. Because the instructions say you must not, okay lah, not, but at the back of the mind, it's so nice. So you're feeding the thoughts. So it goes on and on. So you're feeding the attachment. Okay? But when insight develops, naturally, mind lets go. Okay? So one is not attached to the eye, not attached to visible form, to eye consciousness, and so on. Okay? And then the Buddha continues. So he says, when one abides unattached, unfettered, uninfatuated, contemplating miserableness, adinava, anupasino. So here again, anupasana. So contemplating again and again, adinava, miserableness. So this obviously For those of you who know, this refers to one of the stages in the development of insight. It's Adinava Jnana or Adinava Anupassana Jnana, the knowledge or contemplation of miserableness. Okay, this is actually one of the beginning stages of the series of insight that we call Dukkha Jnana, where the yogi will begin to discern very, very clearly the nature of dukkha in this nama rupa process, due to the clarity of the insight. So at that time, not only the mind is unattached, it's unfettered, uninfatuated, but it's contemplating again and again the nature, miserableness in this continuous, never-ending process of the nama rupa arising, disappearing, how it is oppressed by this never-ending arising and disappearing. Okay? At this stage, the yogi feel miserable. The miserable nature of this nama rupa, the fearful nature. Another insight connected with this is bhaya jnana, bhaya anupassana jnana, the fearful nature, contemplating nature, the fearful nature of this nama rupa. Okay? Yeah. And so the yogi notes miserable to the extent that it's very oppressive. He feels very oppressed. He feels that this nama rupa process is very oppressive, it's very wretched, very unbearable. Okay, so yes. So this is due to the clarity of insight that's developing. So sometimes some yogis come to these stages and then they say, "Oh, my practice is not going well." So they try to hold back the practice, go back to the very nice earlier stages where everything is so nice. So actually, those yogis who have already been through this, they know that this is due to the progress in the development of insight. The mind is becoming clearer. So you're discerning more clearly the nature of dukkha. This is considered progress in vipassana meditation. So that's why when you're practicing vipassana meditation correctly, you are supposed to experience more and more dukkha, more and more clearly. Nature of dukkha. Okay. So when one abides unattached, unfettered, uninfatuated, contemplating miserableness, then the 5 aggregate subject to clinging diminish for oneself in the future. Okay. So what does this mean? 5 aggregate subject to clinging diminish for oneself in the future. Now, to understand this, you have to understand the contrast. If one who is not experiencing insight. So, like in everyday life, when you are not noting, so when you experience seeing or hearing and so on, right? So you did not discern clearly. That's nature, impermanent suffering, non-self, is fearful nature, is miserable nature. So when one do not discern like this, so one falls under the influence of this delusion, right? So delusion or avidya, ignorance. Okay? So avidya, ignorance, it takes things that are actually impermanent, suffering and non-self to be permanent, to be pleasurable, to be the self. So a person who do not discern clearly nature nama rupa, you mistake this as permanent, as pleasurable as a self. And on account of this, it develop a strong attachment. This craving arise, clinging arise. So when clinging arise, so as tanha, craving, tanha pachaya, upadana. So craving as a condition, as clinging. Right? So clinging means a very intense form of clinging, of craving. So you cling to the object with this strong craving. And also there's another type of clinging, as clinging by means of wrong view. Seeing that there is a self in this experience. You cling to the idea of a self in the experience. Okay? And due to this clinging, so because you like it so much, you cling on so strongly to it. So you want to experience it more and more, right? So to experience it more and more, or to sustain what you're experiencing, and then you have to engage in what is called kama bhava. So upadana pachaya bhava, existence. Existence bhava, two parts of existence. Okay? So upapati bhava, kama bhava. Okay? So it's one part of existence where we create karma. So, and then the other part is when we experience karma, result of karma. Right? So in our existence, generally there's two parts. One where we create karma, the other part we simply experience the result of past karma. Okay? So here bhava means karma bhava. So because of this, you have to, because of the strong clinging, you engage in karma in order to experience seeing or hearing and smelling and so on more and more, or to sustain this experience. Okay? So when you create karma, so karma bhava, then karma will give result, right? So how does karma give result? In the form of the 5 aggregates, right? Vipaka Dhamma. So that means Vipaka Dhamma also in the form of the 5 aggregates. Okay, and so you experience, when you experience the result of karma, it's in the form of the 5 aggregates. So bhava pachaya jati, as with this existence as a condition, there is birth. So one of the way that karma gives rise to result is through producing rebirth. So rebirth is also vipaka. Is a result of karma. So rebirth means arising of aggregates in a new existence. Right? So bhava pachaya jati. And jati pachaya jara maranam soka baridewa dukkha domana supayasa sambhavanti. Right? So with birth as a condition, so when you birth, so aggregates arising, beginning from patisandhi, then after that, more and more aggregates come. Right? So and because of this, there's aging, there's death, jara maranam, soka barideva, and so on. The sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair. So eva metasa kevalasa dukkha kandasa samudaya hoti. In this way, this entire mass of suffering arise, and only this mass of suffering arise. This mass of suffering means the mass of 5 aggregates arising more and more. Okay, so not only birth, during the course of existence, also other karma also have the opportunity to give result. So it produces more and more five aggregates. So if you do not practice vipassana meditation and you do not know clearly the nature of nama rupa in your experience, every time when you experience seeing, hearing, smelling, and so on, your mind is actually engaging in this karma that will then have a potential to produce result in the form of five aggregates in the future. So the five aggregates become more and more and more. So it goes to increase. So you accumulate more and more five aggregates for yourself in the future. It means you invest more in samsara, you get more returns in the future. So, but on the other hand, when you practice vipassana, as what until this level of insight, where this dukkha-jnana, so you see so clearly nature, impermanence, suffering, and non-self. You see the fearful nature. You see the miserable nature. You see so clearly until the mind begins to turn away. Don't want to have anything to do with it. Become disgusted with it, disenchanted with it. So let go, let go. So when the mind let go, it offset the process of dependent origination. So at that time, there's no clinging, no craving, no clinging. So that process of dependent origination is being offset. So when it's upset, then there is no accumulation of karma. The mind, when it's experiencing such deep insight, the mind does not engage in the accumulation of karma. Okay? That's the power of insight that is well developed. It can so powerful that it can offset the process of dependent origination in that moment when you're not. So every moment when you know, you offset. But if there's a lapse in your noting, then it comes back again. But if you re-establish it again, then again it will happen. So it keeps offsetting. So if you keep offsetting the dependent origination process, then the mind does not accumulate karma. So that means in the future you experience less five aggregates. You invest less in samsara, so you get less return. So this is what the Buddha means. The five aggregates subject to clinging are diminished for oneself in the future. So this is due to the power of insight. This is a stage of very powerful insight. Balawa vipassana, powerful insight. So you see in the sutta, the Buddha do not describe clearly, the 16 stages of insight one by one as they do in the commentary. You go through them very quickly. You don't even mention the name or anything. You just describe that what the yogi experiences. Okay, so it's in the commentary that they explained more clearly. Make it clear. Okay, that's the job of the commentary. Buddha's job is just to teach in that moment directly to the audience that is present right there, speak directly to them so that it can help them to attain enlightenment. So his job is not to explain all this in great details. He just give the audience who is present right there what he needs at that time. Okay. Okay, then continue. And so the five aggregate subject to clinging are diminished, and one's craving, which brings renewal of being, that is accompanied by delight and lust, that delights in this or that. This craving is abandoned. Okay, This abandoned by the power of insight, power of vipassana. Okay, so every moment when you see, discern clearly nature, anicca, dukkha, anatta, miserable nature, the fearful nature. How can there be craving at that time? Right? So the mind lets go. So it's abandoned. Lets go of craving. So craving is abandoned. Okay. Then one's bodily and mental troubles are abandoned. One's bodily and mental torments are abandoned. One's bodily and mental fevers are abandoned. And one experiences bodily and mental pleasure. This is coming to another stage of insight already. Okay, so earlier you see the fearful nature, the frightful nature, and so on. So during the series of insight, dukkha jnana, abhaya, adinava, nibbida, mencintu kamnyata jnana, patisangka jnana. So at that time it's very miserable, and because the insight is not mature yet, the mind is still reacting to the nature of dukkha. Okay? But as a yogi, double up the effort to contemplate more and more precisely, clearly the nature of anicca, dukkha, anatta. Gradually the insight mature. And when it becomes mature enough, then the mind is no longer reactive to the nature of dukkha. Because it becomes perfectly equanimous towards the nature of dukkha. Due to the stability of the insight that has arisen. So when it comes to this stage, so Buddha says bodily and mental troubles are abandoned, bodily and mental torments are abandoned, bodily and mental fevers are abandoned. Earlier, there's a lot of torment, a lot of fever, trouble, because you're reacting. Dukkha jnana is a very difficult stage of development of insight. So patisangka jnana, the yogi wants to pack and go back. It is so miserable. So, but if you double up the effort, put in effort to note more clearly and more precisely, eventually when the insight mature, then all this trouble, fever, torments are abandoned. The mind transcends beyond it, become totally equanimous to the nature of suffering. Okay? And then one experiences bodily and mental pleasure. So it's sankarupeka. The mind is a very pleasant state. But pleasant, but yet it's perfectly equanimous. So it's a very nice stage. So according to the commentary here, actually refers to the Uttanagamini Vipassana, the insight leading to the emergence of the path, the Magga. So Tapati Magga, or and so on. Okay, so Uttanagamini Vipassana actually consists of a series of insight, beginning from Sankarupeka, and then Anuloma and Gotrabunyana. These three together, they are called Uttanagamini Vipassana. Okay, so this is so Sankarupeka is the first beginning. So or the emergence of the path. So if the yogi can't go beyond Sankarupeka, then it comes to Anuloma Jnana. So once you come to Anuloma Jnana, there's no turning back anymore. For Anuloma, you go straight to Gotrabu, change your lineage, and then Magga will arise. Okay, so in the path emerge. So this is called Uttanagamini Vipassana, insight leading to emergence. Yeah. Okay. Then after that, now comes the most important section. So never mind, today I don't take questions, so I can continue. So the most important section, dealing with this Kanika Samadhi. So up to here, the Buddha already described development of insight up to just before Magga arise, up to Uttanagamini Vipassana. Okay, so this includes the whole process of development of Vipassana insight. Okay, so this is Vipassana meditation here. So this sutta deals with Vipassana meditation. Okay. Okay. Then after that, the Buddha says, of the yogi who has developed up to this stage, so Buddha says, the view of a person such as this is right view. Okay? His thought is right thought. His effort is right effort. His mindfulness is right mindfulness. Okay? And his concentration is right concentration. Okay? His concentration is right concentration. Samma Samadhi. Okay? And what is this concentration here? It's Vipassana. So that this yogi has developed to here at that time, he is contemplating the nature of anicca, dukkha, anatta. That means it is Kanika Samadhi. Right? So this Kanika Samadhi, his concentration is right concentration. So here in this sutta, the Buddha did not mention anything at all about the samatha jhanas. Okay? So he mentioned only the development of Vipassana up to here. So therefore, this is Kanika Samadhi. And so this is Samma Samadhi, right concentration. Okay. Yeah. Now, then it says, but his bodily action, verbal action, and his livelihood have already been well purified earlier. So you see, the Buddha says his view is right view, thought is right thought, effort is right effort, mindfulness is right mindfulness, concentration is right concentration. So 5 path factors. What is missing? The 3 sila factors are missing. So instead of saying his action is right action, his speech is right speech, and so on, Buddha says, but his bodily action, his verbal action, and his livelihood have already been well purified earlier. What does this mean? This means before you begin your practice of meditation, you take your precepts, you purify your sila by taking the precepts, right? So he has been purified earlier. So that means when you are practicing Vipassana meditation, these 3 factors of sila factors, they are not active. As long as you maintain your sila pure, so they remain there, but they are not active. What is active when you practice Vipassana meditation is the other 5 path factors. So there's right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, right view, which is the insight itself, right thought, which directs the mind again and again to note. So these 5 factors, path factors are active. Okay, so so thus this noble eightfold path comes to fulfillment in him by development. Okay, so here the Buddha clearly says that Samma Samadhi, Kanika Samadhi is Samma Samadhi. Okay, so now we come to another question. So how is it? How come in some suttas the Buddha define Samma Samadhi 4 jhanas? In other suttas, although indirectly, but in this case directly, he says the concentration developed during Vipassana meditation, which is Kanika Samadhi, is Samma Samadhi. How is it? Is the Buddha contradicting himself? So, no, the Buddha never contradicts himself. So, but I'm sure you all know the Buddha taught according to context. Right? The suttas taught according to context, according to the audience, and so on. Okay, so so there's no contradiction actually. You understand the context, but first you have to understand there are three kinds of magga. When we say path, magga, normally when we say magga, first thing we think of is Ariya Tangika Magga, the Noble Eightfold Path. Right? So, but what is the Noble Eightfold Path? Noble Eightfold Path is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. Right? So, and it consists of these 8 path factors. So that means these 8 path factors, when they arise together, all 8 of them arise together, then these are all mental states, Noble Eightfold Path is not, a physical path. It's a path, it's a figurative figure of speech. When we say path, it's a figure of speech. It refers to these 8 factors which leads the mind. That means direct the mind towards the experience of cessation. So when these 8 path factors arise together, they work to direct the mind towards the experience of cessation. That means the experience of Nibbana. Okay, so it means it turns the mind to Nibbana as an object. Okay, and this actually happens. When do you experience Nibbana? When does a yogi experience Nibbana? During the practice of Vipassana meditation? No, during Vipassana meditation, you don't experience Nibbana. You experience Sankhara, Nama Rupa. That's your object, right? It's only at the culmination of the development of insight. When your practice is successful, when you develop this insight until it becomes totally mature, then when Magga Jnana arises, in that moment, the mind experiences Nibbana. Okay, so that's why it's called Magga Jnana. Magga here refers to Noble Eightfold Path. Okay, so at that time, Magga Jnana, that one moment, all the 8 path factors fully develop, arise, and together they turn their mind to the experience of Nibbana, the cessation of suffering. So that's why it's called the way leading to the cessation of suffering. So that only arises at the culmination of the practice, right? When your practice is successful. So we call that the experience of enlightenment. But enlightenment cannot just happen out of the blue, right? So before that, before you can experience enlightenment, Magga, you need to prepare the mind, right? So that's what our practice is all about. So prior to that, there's a whole series of development. So the real Noble Eightfold Path is called Ariya Atangika Magga, the Noble Eightfold Path. Or in short, we can just call it Ariya Magga, the Noble Path. Okay, but beside this, there is actually also another 2 kinds of path, another 2 kinds of Magga. So there is Mula Magga, and then there is Ubbabhaga Magga. Mula Magga means foundation path. So this is when the yogi make preparation for the development of insight, Mula Magga. So that means you establish yourself in Sila. So right speech, right action, right livelihood. And then you activate the path factors to develop samadhi, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Okay, so in the case of the samatha yana yogis, samatha yanika yogis, those who follow the samatha approach, so they make effort to develop the samatha jhana, upachara and appana samadhi. Okay, so but for vipassana yanika yogis, then development of samadhi includes all the preliminary practices of noting continuously until the mind arrive at chitta visuddhi, when the kanika samadhi is well established. Okay, all this falls under mula magga. You are preparing the mind for the development of insight. Okay. Then comes the development of insight, which we call Pubbabhaga Magga. Pubbabhaga Magga means preliminary path. So preliminary in the sense that development of insight is the preliminary for the arising of the Noble Eightfold Path. Okay, this is the preliminary work that you must do before the Noble Path can arise. Okay, before you can attain Nibbana, you must do the preparatory work of development of insight. Okay, so Pubbabhaga Magga involve development of insight. Okay, so for the samatha yanika yogi, you must, as we said, withdraw from the jhanas. Okay, and then turn the mind towards it, contemplating the nature of nama rupa. But for vipassana yanika yogi, this begin from properly from samasana jnana, the third insight. So you begin the path of development of insight into the nature of impermanent suffering and non-self, beginning from samasana jnana. Okay, right up to sankarupika, anuloma, and then gotrabu. These are all called Pubbabhaga Magga. Okay, so when the insight into anicca dukkha anatta fully mature through Pubbabhaga Magga, then the Ariya Magga arise, the real Noble Eightfold Path arise, which then directs the mind to experience Nibbana. Okay, so altogether there are three kinds of Magga. Okay, Mula Magga, the foundation path, development, observing of precepts, sila, and development of samadhi. Then Pubbabhaga Magga, development of panya, wisdom, insight. Okay, so sila, samadhi, panya. So when these are fully developed, then the real Noble Eightfold Path arise. Now, as for the Pubbabhaga Magga, so as we said just now, when you are developing vipassana, 5 factors out of the 8 factors of the path, 5 factors are active, right? So the sila factors are not active. So that's why in the Mahasalayatanika Sutta, so the Buddha says the other sila factors, the 3 sila factors, they have been well purified earlier. But at the time when they are practicing vipassana meditation, the other 5 factors are active. Okay, so but that is Pubbabhaga Magga. Okay, so 5 factors are active. But when the real Noble Eightfold Path arises at the moment of Magga Jnana, when you experience Nibbana, all the 8 path factors are present, arise together. Yeah. So in the Mahasalayatanika Sutta, what is described there is the Pubbabhaga Magga. So at that time when the Buddha says Samma Samadhi, his concentration is right concentration. That concentration is Kanika Samadhi. For Pubbha Magga, when you are developing insight, right concentration means momentary concentration, because that is the concentration that is needed for the development of insight, in order to discern the continuous arising and disappearance of the Nama Rupa. Okay, so that is the concentration that is required. Okay, but in the other suttas, so in the in the Mahasalayatanika Sutta, because it's Pubbha Magga, so only 5 factors are active. Okay, and it's stated very clearly in the sutta. Okay, but in the other suttas, where the Buddha define Samma Samadhi as the 4 jhanas. So if you look at those suttas, in those suttas, the Buddha mentioned all the 8 factors together in the suttas. Okay? All the 8 factors. Okay? So that means this is not Pubbha Magga. This is Ariya Magga, the noble path, the path that arises at the culmination of the practice, that directs the mind to the experience of Nibbana, and not the Pubbha Magga, the preliminary path of development of insight, and that only experience the nature of the Sankhara, the Nama Rupa. Okay? Yeah. So all the 8 path factors arise at that time, including Samma Samadhi. And at that time, the Buddha says, Samma Samadhi is the 4 jhanas. When the mind experiences Nibbana, at that time, the concentration is one of the 4 jhanas. Okay? And this is confirmed in the Abhidhamma. In the Abhidhamma also, it is said that Magga Citta, the consciousness that arises at the time when the yogi experiences Magga Jnana, Magga Citta, they are jhanic consciousness, they are jhana citta. Magga Citta can be of 1st jhana, or 2nd jhana, 3rd jhana, 4th jhana. And in Abhidhamma, they have also 5th jhana because they are more detailed. So, yeah. So actually, there's no contradiction between what the Buddha says. In one sutta, he says that Samma Samadhi is this Vipassana Samadhi, Kanika Samadhi, because there he's talking about Pubbha Magga, development of insight. Okay? In another place, when he talks about Samma Samadhi as the 4 jhana, there he's talking about the real Noble Eightfold Path, the Ariya Magga that arises at the culmination of the practice. At that time, the mind experiences Nibbana. The mind is absorbed in the experience of Nibbana. So it's a jhana citta. Okay? Okay. Yeah. So definitely, in Pubbha Magga, when you're developing insight, the concentration has to be momentary concentration. We have explained this before, because without momentary concentration, you cannot discern clearly the rise and fall of the 5 aggregates, nature, nama, rupa. And without discerning clearly the continuous arising and disappearance of the nama rupa, you cannot develop insight into the nature of impermanent suffering and non-self. So definitely during Pubbha Magga, development of insight, it has to be Kanika Samadhi. That's why we say even those who follow Samatha Yana, the Samatha approach, and they must switch, and they must withdraw from the jhana and then switch over to contemplate nature nama rupa with Kanika Samadhi. Okay? Okay, so we stop here today. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipatiya Buddham Pujemi. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipatiya Dhammam Pujemi. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipatiya Sangham Pujemi. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipatiya Mata Pitunam Pujemi. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipatiya Acariyanam Pujemi. Adha Imaya Patipadaya Jaramarnamha Parimochisami. Idame Punyam Asawakaya Vaham Hotu. Idame Punyam Nibbanasa Pajayo Hotu. Idame Silam Magaphalanyanasa Pajayo Hotu. Imam no Punya Bhagam Sabbasatanam Dema. Imam no Punya Bhagam Sabbasatanam Dema. Imam no Punya Bhagam Sabbasatanam Dema. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful always. May you all be healthy, safe and strong always. May you be able to continue your practice of the Dhamma without any obstacle, any hindrances. May your path of the Dhamma be smooth, and may you be able to experience the unconditioned bliss of Nibbana through your practice of the Dhamma.